Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving headfirst into a story that is going to give you literal chills. We're decoding the terrifying ordeal of a young woman named Boomy. And guys, this isn't just your standard ghost story. It's a mind-bending mix of alleged paranormal activity on one side, and on the other, very real, very dangerous human predators who prey on vulnerability. It's a dual threat, and it's absolutely wild. Let's get right into it.
But before we trace the events, just think about this for a second. What happens when the very person you go to for help, the person supposed to save you from a nightmare, actually becomes your biggest threat? We always look for a savior when we're desperate, right? Well, the most horrifying twist in Boomy's story isn't the haunting itself, but a calculated true crime nightmare where a so-called spiritual healer turns into a total predator. We're going to break down that massive twist in a bit, but first, we need to go back to where it all started.
So let's look at the inciting tragedies. Every nightmare has a beginning. And for Boomy, the seeds of this terror were planted back in 2020.
To really understand this, we need to track the chronological timeline. It's a 3-year descent into pure horror. It kicks off in 2020 with a massive family tragedy. Then, in 2022, things escalate geographically when she moves into a famously haunted PG room. And finally, everything comes to a horrifying climax and eventual resolution in 2023. So, let's start with 2020. What exactly triggered all of this? Well, according to the source material, it started shortly after Boomy's uncle, who lived right next door, tragically took his own life by hanging. Not long after that devastating event, Boomy went to visit her grandmother and aunt. While she was there, they gave her a basin ladu, her absolute favorite sweet. It seems totally innocent, right? Just a family offering. But literally right after eating this ladu, Boomy started having these horrific, vivid nightmares of hanging herself. That sweet wasn't just a treat, it was the trigger for everything that followed. Fast forward to 2022, Boomy moves away from home for her higher studies and shifts into a triple-sharing PG, or paying guest room. And this is where the terror takes on a completely new physical form.
Things went downhill fast, especially after her first roommate moved out and Boomy refused to switch rooms. The symptoms she reported were absolutely terrifying. She talked about this constant, unshakable feeling of being watched from the corner of the room. She would hear guttural, animalistic growling coming from the attached washroom. At night, unseen forces would literally pull her legs. And the scariest part? She'd wake up in the morning covered in unexplained scratches. It was taking a massive physical and psychological toll on her. But here is the fascinating part. Why was this only happening to Boomy? She shared the room with another girl named Neha, who was deeply depressed and dealing with a lot of negative energy. You'd think the entities would target her, right? But no. According to the source, these unseen forces seemed to feed on Boomy's vibrant, social, and energetic personality. They completely ignored the depressed roommate and specifically targeted Boomy's light.
Which brings us to the false savior's trap. As Boomy's condition deteriorated, her desperate mother reached out to a distant Milana, a spiritual healer, to cure her. And this is where the paranormal story morphs into a horrifying true crime scenario.
This guy was methodical. First, he gained Boomy's total trust by doing this remote viewing trick over the phone, perfectly describing the colors of her towels and bags in her room. Once he had her trust, he performed a so-called cleansing ritual. Now sure, he supposedly removed the PG's entities, but only to secretly bind his own entities, his jinn-ats, to Boomy under the guise of protection. And the ultimate goal? Total isolation. Whenever Boomy tried to speak to her male friends, his entities would cause her severe, agonizing shoulder pain. He was literally trapping her.
And his ultimate motive was absolutely sickening. When Boomy begged him to free her, he made a shocking demand. He told her, just do it once, sit without clothes for the ritual. After that, your independence is yours, you can achieve whatever you want. It is literally a textbook case of a predator using fear, superstition, and unseen threats to sexually coerce and control a vulnerable young woman. It's absolutely chilling.
Thankfully, Boomy was strong enough to break free from his psychological grip. She confessed everything to her parents, who immediately cut ties with the fraud and went to a legitimate, knowledgeable tantric. And what this tantric uncovered blew the whole case wide open.
He revealed that Boomy's family was the target of something called a marankriya. Now, for those who don't know, a marankriya is an extremely aggressive, dark occult practice. It's a curse, literally designed to bring total destruction, ruin, and even death to a specific target or family. But the million-dollar question was, who sent it? This is the ultimate betrayal. The source reveals that the curse wasn't from a stranger.
It was orchestrated by Bumi's own grandmother and aunt over a bitter family dispute. They intentionally left the family gate open to let the negative energy in. They buried 3 cursed nails under a sacred Belpatra tree. The dark energy got so intense that the family's protective deity, their Brahma Baba, actually retreated in disgust. And remember that cursed besan ladu from 2020? Yeah, that was the delivery mechanism. Her own grandmother fed her the curse.
So that explains the nightmares. But wait. What about the PG room? If the grandmother caused the curse, why was the dorm room so actively hostile? Let's unpack the PG room's dark history.
The tantric uncovered that the specific bed Bumi was sleeping on had a horrific past. Years ago, a boy had tragically hanged himself on that exact bed. Sometime later, another girl moved in and ended her life in the exact same spot. And now, in the present, Bumi was sleeping on that cursed bed, becoming the prime target for the entities attached to that trauma. So let's put this into perspective. Bumi was literally caught in the crossfire of 2 completely independent, simultaneous threats. On one side, you have the Maran Kriya sent by her own grandmother to destroy her from the inside out. On the other side, you have the dark entities of the PG room, drawn in by a roommate's depression but hungry for Bumi's vibrant energy. It's like a perfect, terrifying storm of paranormal and psychological warfare.
Fortunately, there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Let's move to 2023, look at the resolution, and discuss the final lessons, as Bumi and her family finally fought back to reclaim her life. The family took very specific, precise steps to break this multi-layered curse. First, they actually dug up and burned those 3 hidden nails to break the Maran Kriya. Next, they performed a massive cleansing havan at their home to purify the space. Bumi went to a powerful Mata temple where she broke down, prayed, and wept to release all that trauma. And finally, the family performed rituals to apologize to and reconnect with their protective Brahm Baba. Step by step, they dismantled the dark energy.
So, what are the big takeaways from Bumi's incredible survival story? First and foremost, never, ever blindly trust outsiders who claim to be your spiritual saviors, especially when you're in a vulnerable state. Second, protect your family unity. Deep disputes can lead to unimaginable darkness. Stay connected to your roots and protective energies. And lastly, fiercely guard your mental health and physical environment. Be aware of the energy around you. To wrap this explainer up, I want to leave you with a thought that really stuck with me. If a deadly curse can come disguised as your favorite sweet, handed to you by your own grandmother, who can you truly trust to protect you? Sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't hiding in the shadows of a haunted room. They're sitting right across from us at the family dining table. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive today. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and I'll see you in the next one.